everybody, this is Heather. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I'm just going to give this a minute or so for it to show up on my computer screen so that I can make sure I can see all your comments and make sure that I'm not upside down. And look, it looks like I started the day in the right direction. So we're doing good. So let me pull this up now so that I can see comments. And I do encourage you to comment during the video. For one, it's just kind of fun to have that interaction, and feel free to interact with one another as well. But the other thing is, when you comment, something about the Facebook and YouTube algorithms, when there's a lot of commenting going on, it kind of bumps up that algorithm to tell the system, hey, people are enjoying this. And then they put it out there for more people to see. So I would love the interaction with you. Like I said, the biggest part is because I do enjoy that. It's kind of fun to get to chat with you and that kind of thing. But it would really help me out if you do that. So let's see, I've got everything going here. Give a couple minutes for people to sign on if they're going to do that. I wanted to give you a rundown of a couple of specials we've got going on, which I'll do in a minute. Let's see, I'm trying to think if I have anything going on to tell you about. I learned a really interesting thing, a couple of really interesting things from my physical therapist. If you've been watching me, you know that I've been dealing with a shoulder issue and my whole arm goes numb, right? And one thing that the physical therapist had told me is that it is a lot more common that this kind of thing happens with left-handers, which I am, because of course we know the world is made for right-handers, right? And so most things are designed for you to reach up and out, kind of straightforward to get things, and left-handers have to reach across to do it. And I did notice that most of the time when I was feeling pain moving my arm, it was moving in that cross-body movement. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. So for any of you left-handers out there, it's just something to just kind of entertaining to pay attention to, I suppose. The other thing that I learned was, what was it? That this one isn't, I guess, as entertaining, but part of the problem why my arm kept going numb was, of course, my posture was not as good as it could be. And I had told her that I feel it a lot when I stand up, all of a sudden my arm goes numb. So she had me kind of try standing up in front of her because she wanted to see if I stretch my neck out when I do that, because you know you kind of lean forward to stand up. And I don't really do that. And it wasn't like the moment I stood up I felt the numbness. It takes a minute or two before I feel it. So she commented, well, I don't think it's the standing motion that's doing this, but try restacking your body when you feel it, you know, where you line up your hips and your shoulders and that kind of thing. And so today I was ultra aware of that. And whenever I would stand up and my arm would go numb, I would notice, I would pay attention to how was my body stacked, is what she calls it, and I would realign things and I would feel it go unnumb. It was the weirdest thing, that it was almost immediate that you feel the numbness going away versus slowly going away. So I just thought that was really interesting. So there you have it. That's my big exciting things that I have learned this week. Looks like Tammy's on. Hey Tammy, how are you tonight? Good to see you. I was just you know, sharing some details about stuff going on with my weird body. But I'm about ready to get started here on some specials we've got going on, and then get going on making some cards. So let me grab the flyers. I forgot to set them out. And then I think I'm out of the frame now. Let me get those and then we can get going. Okay, I printed these out at work yesterday, so I'm going to get this turned around now. Bear with me while the camera moves. And I think I've got to turn this way. Hi, Diana. Nice to see you. Welcome. Ignore the big mess behind me, you guys. Okay. Let's see here. My phone keeps kind of tipping a little bit here. And my screen is frozen, so I can't tell if I'm upside down or not. Am I frozen on anybody else's screen? Okay, I'm moving again on my screen, so that's helpful. Just trying to get this lined up so I'm not quite so crooked. Okay, let's see here. It looks like oh, now I'm upside down. Okay, so let's turn it around here. Now we should be okay. I guess I can unplug my phone. Having that cord in the way probably doesn't help a whole lot. Okay, so looks like we're all lined up now. I'm just trying to give it a second just to make sure. You know, there's this lag time between when I move my camera or say something and when you actually see it on the computer. So it takes a minute before I'm able to figure out if I'm the right direction. Hello, Doris, good to see you. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with, it's kind of blurry. Is it blurry for anybody else? This is kind of weird. Technology, right? Okay, now it's doing okay. Okay, so the first special I want to tell you about, this just started on March 1st. It runs through the end of the month, and it is called Savings in Bloom or something like that. And there's a couple different components to it. One is our little mini cutting and embossing machine. You've seen me use the big one and you've seen me use the little one. The little one normally sells for $60, and through the month of March, it's on sale for $48. That's a 20% discount. So this is a great time to get it, especially if you've been on the fence about whether or not you want a little die cut machine. And then to go with this special, we have brought back, well, I shouldn't say brought back, we have some bundles that aren't necessarily being sold as bundles anymore. Like the products may still be available individually, but they're just not being sold as a bundle. If you're unfamiliar with what our bundles are, it's where we take a stamp set and a die set and we put them together. You can still buy them individually, but if you buy them together as a bundle, there's a 10% discount. And sometimes we retire the bundling, but still have the individual items available to you. So some of these, the bundling has been retired, but the items are still available. And some of these, both the bundle and the individual items are available or are discontinued, I believe. So anyway, there are 13 of these bundles that they have brought in for a 20% discount. And some of these are just absolutely amazing bundles that I have used a lot. And so tonight we're going to use 3 of them just to give you some fun ideas. If you're on the fence about wanting to get the mini machine or some of these bundles at this great discount, then hopefully tonight will give you some fun new ideas. Another special that Stampin' Up! Brought out yesterday that is available through, this one is actually available through the 2nd of May. It's a sneak peek at a set that's going to come out in our new annual catalog that starts on May 3rd. And it includes, let me see, the other page has a little bit better picture. What will be in the new catalog is this stamp set, Waves of Inspiration, and this die set, Wave Dies. But for the duration of this special, so now until May 2nd, you can also get this amazing Waves of the Ocean Designer Series paper. There's also these blue foils, so it's different kind of shades of blue. There's Silver, Night of Navy, and Coastal Cabana. And then these beautiful rhinestone waves basic jewels that you can see, they kind of range from sort of a Coastal Cabana to a little more green to a little more blue, and then a darker blue. So they're very, very beautiful gems. You can buy any of these individually, or you can buy the entire set like you can buy the bundle of just the stamps and the dies for $51.25, or you can buy the entire collection that I've shown you here for $79.25. That is an amazing price for all those goodies. So if you are interested in those, you can check them out on my website. Where's my little thing that has my, I seem to have lost, hold on here. There it is. Don't pay much attention to the host code on here. I forgot to print out a new one tonight. So that host code is actually expired. So you can't use that, but you can certainly go to my website, heathersides.stampinup.net. I would love the opportunity to earn your business. So if you want to go there and check out some of these specials and the amazing pieces of them, please go ahead and go to my website, check it out. Hey, Talina, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Is Eric going to be joining us too? Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to move some of this back a little bit so we can see a little more. And I think I'm going to start with this first card. Uses the All Squared Away bundle. It comes with these dies with the squares and then the little tiny flowers that you can either decorate by themselves, or you can decorate these squares by putting them on maybe in a different color or whatever. And then the stamps that just have some background squares that you can place behind the dies, and some fun little sentiments. I also am using the dry brush background stamp, and you'll see a little bit more of that as I use it. And then I also used our basic borders dies. These were dies that I got really excited about when I saw them, had to buy them, and then kind of forgot about them and didn't use them. And so I started using them a little bit more lately, and I'm having a ton of fun with them. So I want to show you something that I came up with them. So here's the card we're going to make. And it opens like this, right? And this card, you know, is the hot dog fold, you know, where it's the long piece of cardstock. And of course, my envelope. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I've got a piece of rich razzleberry, and it's 11 by 4 1/4. And I scored it at 5 1/2 so that it folds in the middle. So let's go ahead and make that nice sharp crease. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the background on there. So I've got my Stamparatus. If you have not used the Stamparatus before or are unfamiliar with it, basically it is a tool for being able to stamp and restamp things in the same position over and over and over again. What you do is you line up the stamp itself. You can see I've got mine on this plate right here, and you line it up so that it's on your paper where you want it to be, and then it sticks to the plate, and then every time you put it down it's going to stamp in the exact same spot. So you line what you're stamping up in the same spot every time you put a new piece of cardstock or whatever you're stamping on. In this case, I made sure to line it up with this corner right here with the Stampin' Up! Logo. And one thing I'm doing here, I'll show you, I'm going to get a couple of glue dots and we're going to put them on the back. And the reason I'm doing that is because we have magnets that hold your cardstock in place when you're stamping on it. But when you use these background stamps, they take up the whole piece of cardstock and you don't have room for those magnets. They're in the way. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a couple of little glue dots and I'm putting them on the back of my card because they will hold it in place where I want it to stamp. But then they'll come off pretty easily when I'm done. And they're the back, so it really doesn't matter if they do kind of booger up the paper just a little bit. So I'm lining this up here. Push it down so that my little glue dots stick. Now what I'm going to do is I need to ink up my stamp. So when you're dealing with big stamps like this, like a background stamp, and I know part of it is out of the screen out of the frame, but you can still see what I'm doing. It works better to take ink to the stamp. And to be honest, when you're using the Stamparatus, that's the only way to do it. So I've got a good amount of ink on there, making sure I've just got it the way I want it. Then I'll bring this down. And I have a little air hockey puck thing, I don't know what it's called, that I use to just press down and make sure I get even pressure. Hey Robin, good to see you. I just use this. You can use your hand, you can use whatever. I just like my little air hockey thing. And they're cheap. You can buy them on Amazon, really, really cheap. So now that I've done that, I'll pull it back. And there we go. Now another nice thing about the Stamparatus is, let's say I went, oh, I really wanted a darker image. Like you can see it's a little lighter on this edge than it is up here. I could re-ink my stamp, do it again, and it's gonna stamp in the exact same spot, which is really, really nice, especially if you're using more of a real image versus a background thing like this. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off now. I'm going to move my Stamparatus out of the way. I'll clean it later. Move my ink pad before I do something dangerous. Hey, Patty, welcome. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just take these little glue dots off. Like I said, if they booger up the paper a little bit, it's not a big deal. It's the back of the card, right? So it's not a big deal. Okay, now we have the front, and I did notice that I got this off center a little bit where the edge of the stamp stops before the edge of my cardstock. That's fine. I don't really care because we're going to cover that up anyway. So let's do our envelope really quick. I forgot to do that, and you know I like to let the glue dry a little bit. So, and this designer series paper that I'm using tonight comes from our pattern party pack. Go ahead and say that several times really fast. And you can get this, it's available only as a hostess, or if you place an order of $150 or more, you can use your Stampin' Rewards as a way to purchase this paper. It values at $18, but if you have an order of, let's see, if your order is $150, you get $15 rewards credit. So that paper pack only costs you $3. And I forget, there's like 48 sheets in it or something like that. There's a lot of paper and lots of different designs. The back side of it is all black and white. And then the other side is different patterns and colors, and it's a lot of fun. I find it's a very versatile pack because it's not specific to any particular stamp set, so you can use it with a lot of different designs and cards and such. So I'm trimming off the excess here. Okay, whoops, got a little bit extra, so let's take a moment to just cut that off. I think dinner just arrived. My husband's talking to someone. Now, can't completely rule out him talking to himself, but he ordered us pizza tonight. So, okay, so there's my envelope. You can see I used the black and white side of the designer series paper. Now what we have is all of our little individual pieces. But before we do that, I want to cut the piece out, the little window out of the front of the card here. And I'm going to show you a trick to this. When I do the inside of my card, which we will do in a moment after we cut out the window, this is what's going to go on the inside of my card, right? Well, I definitely want to be able to line up my my little square, the little frame I'm cutting out. I want to line that up so that it's going to be in the right position on the paper, right? So what I did is I just took a piece of scrap paper and cut it to the same dimensions as this piece right here, which just happens to be 2 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then I'm just going to set it here. Let me grab the cutting machine. Okay, and again, you know, I apologize that you're not able to see the entire thing, but I do try to line it up so you can at least see it passing through to see what I'm doing. Put some plates in here. Yes, I am left-handed, Robin. My dad is also left-handed, so I keep blaming him for my shoulder problems that I have. Oh, Robin, my dragon glue holder. Yes, I love my dragon glue holder. It's probably one of my favorite things that I have. I just think he's so cute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is definitely want to unfold my card because I don't want to cut through both layers. And I'm going to, hey Paula, welcome. I'm going to line up that little piece of white scrap paper that I cut, and I'm just putting it on my cardstock about where I think it'll end up on the inside if it was centered with, you know, all the right margins. So that gives me, whoops, now it's all crooked. But that gives me a good idea of where I need to put my die, right? Whoops, and then of course it moves. So I'm going to take the die, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave that scrap paper on there because it'll peel right off. It's not like it's glued down. And I'm going to set my die on here, and I'm going to put it right about where I want it to line up on my designer series paper on the inside. So get it straight. I'm a huge fan of using sticky notes, Post-it notes to hold everything down. I don't have any right now, so we're winging it. So put my plate down. Now we're going to feed it through. Oops. There we go. Pardon the shaking. It's the die cut disco. Okay. I do have one other piece we're going to need to die cut, which we'll do here in just a moment, but I want to show you how this came out. So see, here's the piece that it cut out. And what I could do if I want, let me pull out all the little dams here. By the way, the dam is the term for all the little pieces that are right in here that come out. And I'm just going to peel off that scrap paper. And now I have this one if I want to use on another project. I'm going to peel this off of the front, and now I've cut my window out right where I want it to be. So that's how that works. We also need to cut a black, one of these out of basic black cardstock. Let me grab my black. Okay, I thought I had it in here and I did not. So I'm gonna go ahead and, whoops. I'm just throwing stuff around now. Gesture of defiance. Okay. Ooh. And that is my die cutting sound, you know. It's kind of like how men grunt when they're lifting weights. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so it's got all the little dams. Sometimes the dams just stick to the plates. I'm going to take them out here. I want to show you a little trick. Sometimes the dies get stuck in here and you kind of got to pick at them to get them out. You can use your take your pick tool to push on these little circles right here. There's little tiny circles and it'll push it out. Another thing you can do is kind of, you don't really throw it, but you drop it hard like that and it causes the piece to pop out. So either of those ways works. Yep, I'm throwing stuff around, you guys. Okay, now let's put this away. I always say put them away right away so you don't lose them. Now let's get started on building the card. I have this piece that I went ahead and die cut it ahead of time. You know, I like to do the die cuts ahead of time mostly. This piece was 3 inches by 4 1/4 because I want it to go all the way across the card. I also have a strip that is 4 1/4 by 1 inch wide. And we're going to tie a little bow around this. Make sure I'm in the frame here. Robin, there's a good chance I could lay down in the ink tonight. It happens all the time. And yeah, never rule it out. Let's see here. Especially with me, that's something you just can't rule out. Okay, another thing that I like to remind people is go ahead and use a little extra ribbon when you're wrapping it around, because I have found that 9 times out of 10, if I'm having real trouble making my bow, it's because I just don't have enough ribbon to play with. So go ahead, use a little more than what you need so that, you'll end up cutting off the excess, and that's okay. Okay, this is too funny. I did that before gluing down the little piece of rich raspberry. So let's go ahead and do that. Got my adhesive of choice, the Stamp & Seal Plus. I'm going to stick it right on here. And you can put it, wherever you think it looks best. I put it about, 2/3 of the way up, maybe. Then I find that it's crooked and have to move it. Anybody else do that? Put stuff on crooked and it'll drive me absolutely crazy if it's crooked, so then I have to move it. Robin, it is actually kind of funny that I tend to do that with my ink. And there's certain colors that seem to attract the laying down parts of me more than others. Like I'm telling you, the, what's it called? The spruce one, shaded spruce. Oh, that one gets me every time. Every time I use that color, I end up wearing it. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off my excess here. Okay, so now I have that part done. Let's go ahead and stick that onto our card. This ribbon, our black checked gingham ribbon, I really like it. It's nice and soft, but it's also very thin. So when you're laying it down where it's behind a piece of paper like this, it doesn't add a lot of bulk to your card. So that's kind of nice. I'm trying to decide if this is pulled taut enough. Kind of bugs me, but I think it'll be okay. All right, so now I'm just going to line this up on my card front here. And there we have that. Let's do the inside piece now. All I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down. And actually, before you glue pieces, let's set this aside. Before you glue pieces, you really should do your stamping, because you don't want to glue everything down and then stamp something wrong and have to start over with the whole project, right? So the stamp I want to do in here is the one that says "You are so worth celebrating," and I'm going to use my black Memento ink here. So I'm going to put it kind of toward the top a little bit. There we go. Oh, I even got it straight, you guys. How exciting is that? Okay, and I'm going to clean it off with my Simply Chamois. I love the chamois. I've mentioned this before. It took me some getting used to it. I was a die-hard Stamp and Scrub user, which is another cleaning product that we have. But once I switched over to the chamois, there was no going back. I love my chamois. And you can buy those on my online store, at heathersides.stampinup.net. Okay, where's that little, I lost my little piece of designer series. Oh, there it is. It was turned over upside down, so I didn't recognize it. Okay, so now I'm just going to lay this down. I want my margins to be relatively the same everywhere. And in this case, it's going to be about 1/16 of an inch. Now, you don't want to just glue this on here and hope it lines up, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. use way more adhesive than I probably need. But you know my motto, if it's worth doing, overdo it. Okay, now line this up. And we have the inside of our card done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Now if I had been thinking, and I don't always do that, but if I had been thinking, I would have backed this before I die cut it. I would have backed my cardstock with our adhesive sheets, which turn the die into a sticker. That would have been the easiest and quickest way to do this. I did not, so we're going to use some liquid glue. And the first thing I do is put a little bit on the parts here. Now, I want you to know I'm using very, very little glue. If you use a lot, it squishes out everywhere and it makes a mess, and you know, it just isn't fun. So I don't even lift the tip of my glue thing off the paper because I'm trying to spread it around. Just a little tiny bit of glue. I seem to have a clog in there, which is contributing tonight, which is not helpful because then you start squeezing really hard and you end up with a big blob. Okay, let's get these outer edges. And these are so fine. This is another reason why it would have been a lot quicker and maybe easier if I had used the adhesive sheets, because then you don't have to worry about gluing up this really skinny piece here. Oh, my arm is going numb again and it's driving me crazy. Okay, now let's go ahead and line this up. And if you do it with the liquid glue, you're gonna get glue on your fingers. That's just a fact of life. So just so you know. Okay, so now go ahead and hold this closed, and you're gonna line this up right inside that frame, because remember, the way you got the size of your frame was by cutting this exact same shape out of it. So it'll fit right in there, and then you can open your card, and there it is. Now, one thing I would recommend is let it dry open, because there may be a little residual glue that comes out or whatever, and if it's closed, you may end up gluing your card shut. So let it dry open. But that is card number 1, you guys. What do you think? Ta-da! Okay. Thanks, Robin. Okay, so let me clean up my mess a little bit and we'll get going on card number 2. Card number 2 is using the Sweet as a Peach bundle, which is also in that sale I was sharing with you. It comes with these stamps and these dies, and it's kind of fun. I've seen people, it's intended to be a peach. I've seen people make it an apple. There's a lot of different things you could do. This particular little branch, you could put peaches on it or the flowers. So there's really quite a bit you can do with this, even if peaches by themselves don't, do a whole lot for you. I'm also going to use the Stripes and Splatters embossing folder. It comes with 2 folders. One does the little stripes. They're not exact stripes, real crisp stripes. You'll see, I'll show you up close when I pull out the paper. And then this one, we used this one last week. This one was the Splatters. And if you remember, I showed you how to use these narrower embossing folders on wider cardstock. Okay, so let's move this aside and get going on card number 2. This is card number 2, and it uses these little doilies. When we first came out with these, it was something I had to get. I thought they were adorable. I loved them. And then, as happens so many times, I got them and didn't know what to do with them. Oh, Talina, you're right. That last card would have been a really good Halloween one. So anyway, I wasn't sure what to do with the little doilies, but I've seen so many cute ideas with them. So I recommend, they're like $6.50, I think, or something like that, to buy them. And you get them in 3 different colors. You get the Misty Moonlight. Why can't I? Yeah, Misty Moonlight. It also comes in like a garden green, I think it is. And then one that's kind of a gray. So, and of course you can flip them over and use white as well. So if you look closely, you can see the stripes on this piece of cardstock. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but you can see they aren't crisp stripes. They're just more dimension and texture. So let's get started on our card. We'll get started by making the envelope. And for this, I used the Misty Moonlight Designer Series paper from the In Colors stack. And by the way, that particular family of the In Colors is going to be retiring when our annual catalog comes out in May. So if you have those colors, you might want to stock up on ink refills before they're gone, or the Designer Series paper, any of those consumables. You want to stock up on them before they're gone, and they will go fast. Or if they're a color that you've been meaning to get and just haven't yet, again, now's the time to do it while they are still available. So I'm gluing down this strip. This strip, by the way, that I put on my envelopes is 2.5 by 6 inches. It gives me just a little bit extra to cut off. Okay. Okay, get this off of here. And I do like decorating my envelopes. I think it just adds a little something extra when I send my cards to people. Plus also then they know it's not a bill, because, you know, what bill collector sends you decorated envelopes, right? Okay, let's get her going. This is a 1/2 sheet of Misty Moonlight cardstock. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4 right down the middle. Oh, that's a really good point, Talina. Talina pointed out that they're white on the back, see, like this. So you can color them really with an ink pad to make them any color you want them to be. And I always forget about that. That requires thinking outside the box, and I would not say that is my strong suit. So, oh, thank you, Paula says she likes how I layered the flower on the doily. So, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and do the inside of the card really quick. And what I did for the inside is I just made a narrow strip. It's about, I'm trying to think, I think it was 1/2 inch of the Balmy Blue. For those of you who have been with Stampin' Up! Forever, been around, you may remember Bliss Blue, and that's what I always want to call this. That color was around quite some time ago. But anyway, I ran it through the embossing folder, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it down on my white insert. And you can see I didn't have it go all the way to the edge, like I sometimes do with my strips on the inside. I wanted it to line up to be just kind of have some margins on there like that. Get it straight here. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and stick it to the inside of our card, because you know how I lose pieces if I don't stick them down right away. So we're going to put this on the inside. Line up my margins. Okay, now we've the front of our card, and I like to go ahead and put everything together before I mount it onto my actual card. So let's go ahead and start with this piece here, which is just a scrap of white. And what we're going to do here is we're going to the stamp, this is the leaves that you see there, and then we're also going to stamp the flowers. So I'm going to start with my garden green to do the leaves. Ink it up, and then I'm just going to kind of fit it. Oh, my paper might not be quite wide enough. Oh no, that worked. Okay, I'm going to clean off my stamp. And then I am going to put my ink away so I don't lay down in it as much as Robin would like me to. Okay, then I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight and my Balmy Blue, and we're going to make the flowers. And I want to show you how I did. As you can see, the flowers have two tones to them, the dark and the light. I'm going to show you how I did that. Actually, I should open both ink pads first. And I have a sponge dauber here. These come in a pack of 5 for $5. They're a great deal. And you can use them in all sorts of ways. Okay, so first I inked up my stamp, right? Then I take my sponge dauber, stick it on your finger like an olive at Thanksgiving, ink it up, and then I'm just kind of going down around the edge of the flowers. And then I'm going to stamp it. And there we have our two-tone flowers. Easy peasy. Now put away the ink pads. Clean my stamp, and then we're going to die cut these. Grab my machine. And grab all the plates that I dropped on the floor. Let's see. Okay. Plate number 1, plate number 2, plate 3A. We'll call it 3A. Now I'm going to lay this down, and I can do both of these die cuts at the same time because they're not the same die cut, obviously. So first I'm going to take the leaf one, and I'm going to stick it on here. This is another time that it would have been extremely helpful to have a sticky note to hold it in place, because this one is kind of tough to line up. It's not bad, but it can be a little tricky. Oh, see, and then you do things like that with your fingers, knocking it around, and that's no bueno. Do. Gosh darn it. Come on, you. Be a little cooperative. And then we've got the flowers. So I want to line them up here. There we go. And then very carefully set the top plate down so you don't move those things. Feed it through. Do the die cut disco where you shake the table all over the place. Okay, put my dies away first so I don't lose them. Okay, get all my little pieces and move my machine out of the way. Okay, so I should have 3 flowers right here, and then I have my stem, right? So you stay where you're at. I'm talking to my machine, telling it to stay where it's at. You've heard me say it before. Sometimes you just got to show it who's boss. Okay, so, oops, that's not the piece I wanted. I wanted this guy, my little blue doily. Now we're going to go ahead and glue this down. You could use like any of the adhesives really would work well for this. I'm just using my liquid glue because the pieces are a little bit smaller and it's quick and easy. If you don't have a clog in your thing. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. I think I got a little too much glue in some places, but it'll dry. It'll be okay. And it dries clear, so. Now I have my flowers. So I'm going to stick those down, but I'm going to stick these down with the mini dimensionals. I'm trying to think, did I use minis or did I use full-size ones? I might have used full-size ones. So let me grab my dimensionals out of here. Okay. So I've got these ones. They cut through the paper that they're on, so the paper they're on comes up when you peel them off, so you got to peel that side off too. So I have that one there. Is this going to be... I think it's going to work. We'll make it work. Oops. Okay, and now I'm going to do the last one here. Okay, so now I'm going to place them. So let's put this guy right here, and this little guy we're going to put over here, and the big one is going to go right. Oh, I don't like it. Not quite like that. It's a weird shape when I do it that way. There we go. I like that better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to now start piecing my card together. So I'm going to take, this is the strip of balmy blue that I ran through with the embossing machine, or the embossing folder. I'm going to put a little glue on here. When you have something that you've put through the embossing folder, sometimes it does work better to use the liquid glue because it kind of gets into those little nooks and crannies so that everything glues just a little bit better. And just like on the inside, I have a bit of a margin. I didn't have this go all the way to the edge. Oh, I didn't stamp my little tag yet. Let's do that. So I'm going to stamp with the Misty Moonlight, and the message I'm stamping is just a simple happy birthday. I love the font in this set. Anybody else like the font in this set? I'm going to line this up right here. See if I can get it straight. Ah, yay. It's like twice now tonight I've gotten something straight on the first try. I'm very impressed with me. Okay. And this may be a little longer than what I want, so I'm going to trim it down just a bit. There we go. Okay, put the ink away. Let's get this all lined up. For this piece, I'm just going to use my liquid glue again. And I chose to have my flowers going at a bit of an angle, like this. You can put it where you want it, but I chose to have it just a little bit north of center. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and use dimensionals to put my little tag on the card. My banner, that's what it's called. Not a tag, a banner. Okay. This particular pack of dimensionals is kind of yucky, just because of that weird backing thing. But, well, it's, you know, inconvenient because I have to take it off too. It doesn't affect how well the dimensionals work. So if you get a pack that's like this, it's not really a problem. Don't worry about it. And I'm going to line it up kind of right about here. See if that's straight. Yeah, I think that's straight. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue this to the front of my card. And for this, I am using my Stamp & Seal Plus. It is one of the stronger adhesives that we have. And so when I'm putting down my main pieces for my card, I do like to use it just so that I know my card's not going to peel apart. Got this a little bit crooked. See if I can lift it back up and fix it. Oops, I didn't check all my margins. Okay, there we go. Now let's add a couple little things just to make this extra pretty. I have some of our blue adhesive backed gems, and these are another product that I loved them, so I had to buy them and then couldn't quite figure out what to do with them. So I'm trying to find uses for them because I love them so much, and it doesn't make sense to just have them until they retire and never have used them, right? Okay. I keep pushing it over a little bit before I push it down. There we go. Put another one on there. I'm putting one of these, come in light blue and kind of a darker blue, and I'm using the lighter blue ones for the centers of my flowers. And last but not least, looky there. Okay, now I want to put a little bow on here, but because of the boldness of my doily, I wanted something that was a little more substantial than just one piece of linen thread. So I have two here, and I'm going to tie myself a little bow. Pull it nice and tight, and then get my little loops to be the size that I want them. I think I like that. I recommend putting the bow on the card before you trim the tails, because then you get a better idea of where they actually lie when you've got it on the card, so that you cut them to the length that you truly want them to be. So I have my little glue dot. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to stick it right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. Make sure that all the tails are the same. And there we go. There's card number 2. Got the outside, got the inside, and we're ready to go. Yes, Talina, I totally agree. It's that font. I love the font in it. Okay, so I'm going to clean up my mess, and we're going to work on card number 3. If you are enjoying what you're seeing tonight, I would love it if you would like this video, or give me some thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, if you want to see more of what I'm doing, you can subscribe to my channel and click on the little button that looks like a bell. That'll get you notified whenever I upload new videos. And I always upload my Facebook Lives immediately after we do it. And if you are watching on Facebook, you can be a follower on my page, and then you get notifications also when I've got something coming up. And I would love it if you would follow me on either one of those platforms. And And share. If you would share this video, you just never know who in your feed might be interested in it. That would just rock my world. Okay, so final card. This is one of my favorite sets. I don't use it often enough. It's Celebrate Sunflowers, and this bundle is included in that sale. It comes with these beautiful stamps and these dies. You can stamp the flower and then cut out the outside of it, or you can cut the detail. I love it. It's a beautiful set. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start, well, let me show you the card first, I guess. This one is actually quite simple. And I'll put it up close so you can see, because the sunflower on the front is very, very subtle because it's very monochromatic. So this is what we're going to make tonight. Let's get started on our envelope. Oh, I've got this little glue blob in there that's just trying to make a mockery of me tonight. Okay, I'm going to get out a needle and take care of business here, because that's just going to drive me insane. And to be honest, I don't have too far to go. Okay. There, that's not so much better as I thought it would be. Okay. Ah, there's a blob, so maybe we got it out. And I'm just going around the edge of the flap and then a little on the inside. Spread this out so it's not just a big blobby blob there. A little more glue than I like to put on my label, on my envelope flaps, but it'll still work. And this is the Marvelous Magenta from our one of our 2 in color packs. It is another one that's going to be retiring in May, so so they can make room for a new set of in colors. Our in colors come in and they stay for 2 years when they retire them and bring out the next one. So there's always 2 of them, 2 in color sets going on. So yeah, this is another one that's retiring. So now is the time to stock up on your consumables, your refills, your card stock, that kind of thing, your ribbon, all that good stuff. Okay. My fingers are very gluey. Okay, so what we have for the card base here is a hot dog cut sheet of Marvelous Magenta. It's 11 by 4 1/4. I scored it at 5 1/2, which was the center. Use my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge there. Let's do the inside because it's pretty quick and easy. I have a piece of basic white that is just 5 1/4 by 4, and then a strip of the Designer Series paper, Marvelous Magenta again. And we're gonna line it up. I want to do it this way, I think, because that's the way the fold goes on our card. Okay. Now I trim off the extra. Okay. And we'll glue it down to the inside of the card now. Thank you, Talina. Talina commented that the last card was very pretty, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so there we go with that one. Let me see if I stamped a message inside there. Oh, I did do some stamping in there, darn it, and I needed to do it before I did any gluing down. So we're going to try this again. I totally forgot what I did in there. Okay, so I'm going to have to take this strip off. Okay, I'm going to get another piece of white. Hang on. Sorry about that, folks. I'll just be a minute. I forgot that I had done this. Okay, so what I did, just to do something a little different, you know, I like to do the insides of my cards, and I just want to do something a little different this time. So I've got my Magenta Madness. I keep calling it Marvelous Magenta because that was another color Stampin' Up! Had a really, really long time ago. Magenta Madness is the actual name of the color. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. This is just a small sunflower. And I'm putting it right here in the corner. And the reason I did that is I didn't really want the leaves in it, so it's going off the edge. Clean up my stamp. Oh, and I need to cut another strip of that Marvelous, no, not Marvelous Magenta, Magenta Madness. Okay, so I have a 1/2 inch strip of the Magenta Madness that I'm just going to put right here. So it looks like that cute little sunflower is peeking out from behind it. So this I might as well just, it's wide enough that I can use my Seal Plus. There we go, got it lined up well. So now I'll just cut off the extra. Okay, now I'm going to take the message. I want to see, what message did I use on the inside? The stamp that says, "Let's celebrate you." And I'm going to use my Magenta Madness again. See, I said it right that time. And I should have done all of my stamping right off the bat before I started gluing things down. But fortunately, I did okay with that stamp. So get these cleaned off well. Okay. Now let's go ahead and stick this to the inside of our card. Let's try this again. Watch your margins. And there you go. So now we have the inside of the card done. Let's do the front. I have a piece of basic white that is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I also have a piece of the Designer Series paper, and it is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And we're going to go ahead and just stick that down like that. And this should have a really tiny little margin. It's about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. The lighting in here is not super good tonight, so it's making it a little hard to line up the white stuff when it's on white paper. Okay. There we go. Now, the next piece I have here is my sunflower cutout. And for this one, I did remember to use our adhesive paper, our adhesive sheets. And our adhesive sheets, you just stick it down on the back of your cardstock and then die cut your image. And then when you're ready, it peels off just like a sticker back would. Whoops. Now with a stamp, or I'm sorry, a die this fine, you do want to be a little careful when you're peeling off the back because you don't want to tear it, obviously. I've got some little pieces here. There we go. See, and now I've created just one big sticker. And I'm going to put it right here, just north of the center. And see how subtle that is? In real, you know, to see it in person, it's actually, I think it's really pretty like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some white baker's twine. And I kind of want to get some of the twists and turns out of it. And I'm going to just tie it around my card here. Ooh, it looks like it's going to be a little tight maybe because I made it, cut it a little short. There we go. I think we're still going to be okay. It's a little shorter than I would have liked, but it works. And then I just kind of play with the bows, the loops on there to make sure they're the size I want and they lay the way I want them. For example, right now one of them is way bigger than the other one, so I'll kind of fiddle with them until they're the same size. I do like double bows. Okay, I want my tails to be about the same, so it looks like I just need to trim a little bit. Okay, now scoot this down just a little. And I kind of want to untwist these guys. It's pretty twisted. I really should have paid more attention to that before I tied my bow, but that's okay. All right, so now I want to pop this up on my card. When I am doing a big piece like this, I do like to use my foam adhesive sheets. So I'm trying to find the one I started cutting apart last night. Okay, so I have, this is about a half of a sheet. And I'm just going to do 3 strips. Okay. Put one right down the center. And then one on each side. Take the release paper off. And now we're gonna, now remember the foam sheets can be pretty unforgiving once you lay them down. So make sure it's where you want it before you commit to it, because once it's down, you're committed. And then just to add a little bit of bling, I have our iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. These are in the new January through June mini catalog, and I love these. I think they're so pretty. And I am using a variety of sizes on this. It just gives a little bit of extra texture, I think, to use different size gems. So what I did is first I took the large ones and I put 4 of them in there. Right up against the outer edge of this inner circle. Okay, then I took one of the medium-sized ones and put it right in the middle of all of them. And then I took the little tiny ones, the small ones, and I put them, okay, this one doesn't want to cooperate. Gotta show it who's boss. And I'm putting them in between the 4 big ones that I put on first. Oops. Oops, that's not laying down quite right. There it is. And the last one. There, and now they're all down. They're different sizes. They just, like I said, add a little extra dimension and texture. But here is card number 3. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Talina. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some stuff away and then just kind of recap what we made tonight. Move some stuff out of the way so we can look. Move my little monster glue out of the way. Okay, so we've got all of our cards we made. We just made this one, the pink sunflower. We've got this one that we used with the peaches, Sweet as a Peach stamp set and die. Remember, all 3 of the bundles that I used tonight are available in the In Bloom sale. We've got this one. And then finally we have this one that we made. Oh, you know what? This piece might be here to stay, but it's crooked and that will bother me. Anyway, so then we also have this card that we made. Okay, Talina says that the last one is her favorite. It's one of her favorite colors. The last one we made or the last one I just showed? Yeah, me calling it Marvelous Magenta. You were with me back then, so you remember that. So, okay, so those are our cards we made. Again, if you need any of the products, thank you, Diane. You can always watch the replay to see the first couple. If you are interested in buying any of the supplies that I use to make these cards or to take advantage of the couple of the 2 specials I told you about that we have going on, the one where the stamp bundles are 20% off and the mini cutting and embossing machine is also 20% off. Or if you're interested in looking into that Waves of the Ocean collection that came out, you can do so on my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. Again, ignore this host code. It's old, it's expired. I just forgot to print out a new one. So that website, however, is where you can check out all of the products I have in my online store. And every Wednesday I do this at 6 p.m. Pacific time here on Facebook at facebook.com/stamp happenings. I'd love for you to join us again next week. See you then. Bye-bye.